Thanks for watching. I'm Margot Kimberg, and this is In the Spotlight, a closer look at a crime novel. Novels with a strong sense of place help the reader understand the setting in a very effective way, and they can teach the reader too. Let's take a look at a novel like that today and turn the spotlight on Jerry Brooks' You're So Wrong, a Boston crime novel. It's 1970s Boston, where Victor Ansman is a private investigator. He's a low-rent PI who's got lots of friends and acquaintances in what used to be called the Combat Zone, Boston's red light district. Some of his clients, though, are from a very different part of the city. As the story begins, he is hired by William and Monica Holmes, shady lawyers who live and work in Boston's legendary Beacon Hill. It seems they've lost quite a lot of money, not to mention a great deal of influence, and they want to find out who's responsible. Neither of the Holmes trusts the other, so each thinks it's possible that the other could be responsible. Victor takes the information he's given and begins looking into the case. He has a lot of contacts in the shadier, seedier areas of the city, so he taps those resources and slowly puts together what's happening. But as the case begins to come together, he finds that this case is complex. The trail is complicated. Still, he puts the pieces of the puzzle together. That doesn't mean things automatically clear up, though. And Victor finds that finding out the truth doesn't mean that the truth is going to actually come out. So, what are the elements in this story? What keeps it going? Well, as I say, this novel has a very distinct Boston setting. The case takes Victor from his home and office in Chinatown to the Combat Zone to Beacon Hill and several other parts of the city, too. The reader gets a close look at what the city was like during the 1970s, but this isn't the Boston you might think of, though. If you think of, say, Harvard or the Paul Revere House, this isn't the Boston you might be thinking of. Victor has friends and acquaintances and people he knows from the immigrant community who have a much different view of the city. Through their eyes, Brooks shows what a diverse place Boston really is, even if the blue bloods don't acknowledge that. Victor also has several working class and working poor acquaintances, so we also get their perspectives. Some of the characters have non-standard ways of speaking, and that's reflected in the story. Readers who are unaccustomed to those different accents will notice it and might want to take a little more time reading those sections. It shouldn't be surprising that there's also prejudice, sometimes blatant. Victor, for instance, is Chinese American. That affects the way he's treated, and it also has an impact on the case. I can say without spoiling the story, though, that Victor has his own ways of dealing with those who think less of him because he's not white or rich. In this way, Brooks comments on the race issue without going on and on about it. This is a PI story, but it's also philosophical. Fans of Raymond Chandler's Philip Marlowe may recognize that side of a PI that nurtures reading, considers philosophy, and so on. That said, though, the book also has an element of the hard-boiled story. Victor, for instance, is a drinker who spends his share of time in sleazy clubs. He's not married, but he has lots of female companionship. The story isn't explicit, but there's an element of questionable ethics, untrustworthy people, and wealth being a way of covering up for a great deal. The book's timeline is not really chronological, although we do follow Victor as he solves the case. Sometimes there are diversions as Victor explains, say, how he met a person or what a certain word means. The story is told from Victor's point of view, first person, past tense, so he sometimes muses about his past or about the city or about something else. Readers who prefer a strictly linear chronological timeline will notice this. You're So Wrong is a distinctly Boston story with a strong element of immigrants and working class perspective. It features a hard-boiled style story, a convoluted case of greed, and a PI who has his own way of finding out the truth. This has been In the Spotlight. I'm Margot Kimberg. Thanks for watching.